Mother cancels her daughter's engagement party, but the ending leaves her regretting it for a lifetime. Did you hear me clearly? I've already canceled your engagement party. A man like David could never be worthy of our family. Her mother's cold voice echoed through the phone, freezing Jenna Whitfield in place, right in the middle of the hallway of her office. Just one more week, in just 1 week. She was supposed to have the engagement party of her dreams at the Riverside Hotel, a venue she had loved since childhood. But now, with a single phone call, everything had shattered. And the reason? It wasn't about money. It was because Jenna's parents looked down on the man she loved. The painful truth, her parents' cruel betrayal. Jenna Whitfield, 29, had grown up in luxury. As the daughter of Richard Whitfield, the most powerful real estate mogul in Cincinnati, she had never known financial struggle. But Jenna was different. She refused to live off her family's name. Instead, she became an architect and carved out her own path. And the man she loved, David Chen, was even more extraordinary, a humble software developer from a working-class family. David wasn't wealthy, but he had something far more valuable, a heart of gold. Kindness, integrity, hard work, qualities Jenna had rarely found in the elite circles of her upbringing. But to her parents, David would never be enough. Richard and Caroline Whitfield never accepted him. To them, a man without wealth or a prestigious family name could never be worthy of their daughter. And so, they made a decision behind her back. They canceled her engagement party. Betrayed twice. A shocking discovery. Jenna soon uncovered the devastating truth. Her mother didn't cancel the engagement party to save money. She had taken the entire budget and the venue and used it to throw a lavish birthday party for her younger sister, Vanessa, the favored daughter, the obedient one. Jenna was in shock. It wasn't about the money. It wasn't even about the party. It was about realizing that, to her parents, prestige mattered more than her happiness. But that wasn't the worst part. Jenna soon uncovered another scheme. Her mother was secretly trying to push Vanessa into a relationship with her ex, Jonathan Henderson, a rich, well-connected man, all while ignoring the fact that Vanessa was already in love with Brad Evans, an ordinary but good-hearted man. Her family wasn't just controlling her life. They were manipulating Vanessa's, too. Jenna's bold move. Crashing the party that was meant to be hers. Jenna refused to let them win. She decided to show up at Vanessa's extravagant birthday party, the one that had taken the place of her engagement. Celebration. If they thought she would stay silent, they were wrong. As she stepped into the grand ballroom, she could feel the cold stares from her mother. Her father greeted her with forced politeness. They didn't expect her to be there. The moment that changed everything. Then, something happened. A special guest arrived, Robert Maxwell, the CEO of Pinnacle Tech, the largest tech conglomerate in the US. The moment Maxwell spotted David, he immediately walked up to him, with admiration, with respect. Silence fell over the ballroom. Jenna's father, Richard Whitfield, watched in shock. The most powerful tech CEO in the country had just personally greeted the man he had dismissed as unworthy. And then the truth was revealed. David wasn't just a software developer. He was the founder of BioPredict, a startup recently acquired by Pinnacle Tech for $175 million. The man they had mocked and rejected turned out to be a young, brilliant millionaire. And now, the entire room knew it. The ultimate shock. David's true worth. Richard and Caroline Whitfield stood frozen, their arrogance crumbling, as they realized they had judged David solely on his humble background. never imagining that he was, in fact, a self-made success. Jenna took the microphone, her voice strong, unshaken. Tonight, my parents taught me an important lesson. I've realized that a person's worth is not measured by their wealth or social status, but by their character and how they treat others. The man they looked down on, David, has accomplished extraordinary things through his own talent, his own perseverance, and yet, to them, that was never enough. Walking away with their heads held high that night. Jenna and David walked out of the party with their heads held high. Regret came too late a week later. They hosted their engagement in a small rooftop restaurant, surrounded by true friends, people who valued them for who they were, not for their wealth. Vanessa, after witnessing everything, made a life-changing decision. She broke free from their parents' control. She chose Brad, the man she truly loved. As for Richard and Caroline Whitfield, they learned their lesson too late. They had lost the respect of their daughters, and with it, their chance at being part of their happiness. The final lesson: true worth isn't measured by money. True happiness comes when you live life on your own terms. Wealth and status may buy many things, but they will never buy genuine love and respect. And often, people don't realize the true value of what they have until they've already lost it. Cherish those who love you unconditionally, because in the end, that is what truly matters. The shocking secret of the mother-in-law that left the family in shock. I once believed my mother-in-law was an angel until the day the truth was revealed and my entire world turned upside down. My name is Emily. I'm 30 years old and live in a small, peaceful town. My life was simple. I worked as a high school teacher and was happily married to my husband, Michael, a dedicated engineer who deeply cared for our family. We lived together with his mother, Susan, a woman admired by the entire community for her kindness, grace, and generosity. For the first few years of marriage, everything was perfect. I loved and respected Susan as if she were my own mother. But as time passed, I began to sense that something wasn't right. An unsettling truth lurking beneath the surface of our seemingly harmonious family. One cold, rainy evening, I accidentally overheard Susan speaking in hushed tones on the phone. Her voice was filled with tension and calculation. I couldn't make out every word, but phrases like property, ownership, and Michael doesn't suspect a thing sent chills down my spine. I froze behind the door, my heart pounding with anxiety. From that night on, I began observing her closely. The more I paid attention, the more suspicious things became. Important documents related to the house started disappearing, and our family savings dwindled inexplicably. Every time I asked about it, Susan would become defensive and change the subject. I could no longer ignore the nagging doubts in my mind. One morning, while Susan was out, I gathered my courage and entered her study. My hands trembled as I opened a locked drawer and found a stack of legal papers. What I saw made my blood run cold. Documents proving that our house had been secretly mortgaged for a large loan. Worse, I found forged signatures of Michael, transferring full ownership of the property to Susan. Horrified, I knew I needed help. I turned to my closest friend, Sarah, who also happened to be a skilled lawyer. After examining the documents, she confirmed my worst fears. They were fraudulent, and the situation was far more sinister than I had imagined. Susan wasn't just taking our money. She was ensuring that we would be completely dependent on her, trapped under her control. I had no choice but to confront Michael with the truth. At first, he refused to believe that his own mother could betray him in such a way. But when I laid out the undeniable evidence before him, he was devastated. His faith in his mother shattered, leaving him heartbroken but resolute. We decided to hold a family meeting, inviting key relatives and close friends. As Sarah and I revealed the evidence one by one, Susan tried to deny everything, playing the role of the victim. But, as the weight of the evidence crushed her defenses, she was finally forced to confess. The room fell silent. Michael was torn apart, but he stood by my side, choosing the truth over blind loyalty. After this heartbreaking revelation, Michael and I decided to walk away from the house and all its painful memories. We started over, building a new life with nothing but our love and determination. This experience taught me that sometimes the people we trust the most can hurt us the deepest. But more importantly, it showed me that courage means standing up for what is right, even when it hurts. Have you ever faced a betrayal from someone close to you? Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe to hear more powerful and inspiring stories. The sister-in-law's greedy scheme and the ultimate revenge. Trust can be a dangerous thing, especially when it's placed in the wrong hands. I believed that family was everything, until my sister-in-law proved just how ruthless greed could be. My name is Olivia. I married into one of the most prominent families in town. My husband, Daniel, is a hardworking businessman, and his younger brother, Ethan, recently married Vanessa, a woman who, at first glance, seemed kind and charming. But beneath that polished exterior lay something far more sinister. For years, we lived in harmony, but everything changed when my in-laws fell ill and discussions about inheritance began. That was when Vanessa revealed her true colors. One evening, as I passed by the study, I overheard Vanessa speaking in hushed tones on the phone. Words like assets, legal transfers, and ensure she doesn't suspect anything sent a chill down my spine. That night, sleep evaded me. Was I imagining things? Was Vanessa really scheming? But soon, the clues became undeniable. Important documents vanished, financial transactions didn't add up, and Vanessa suddenly became very helpful in managing the estate. Determined to uncover the truth, I turned to my trusted friend, Sarah, a brilliant lawyer. What we found was beyond shocking. Vanessa had been manipulating my father-in-law into signing over properties and assets to her and Ethan using forged documents. She planned to cut Daniel and me out completely. If I hadn't caught on in time, we would have lost everything. I refused to let her win. At a family meeting, I exposed her deception. Vanessa tried to deny everything, feigning innocence. But when Sarah revealed the irrefutable proof, her facade crumbled. Ethan was devastated. He had believed in his wife, only to find out she had deceived him and the entire family. My in-laws, furious, immediately disowned her. Legal action was taken, and the stolen assets were rightfully returned. This experience taught me that greed can turn family into enemies. But more importantly, I learned that silence in the face of deception is never the answer. Have you ever faced betrayal within your own family? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more eye-opening stories. She gave him 5 years of love. She sacrificed everything for him. But on a cold autumn night, standing at the grand gates of his family's mansion, Sarah Evans realized a cruel truth. She was nothing but a disposable pawn. "Ethan, do you really believe this?" she whispered, gripping her suitcase. Ethan stood still, his gaze cold. "My mother saw you with another man. I don't need more proof." Margaret, his mother, smirked. "I told you, didn't I? A woman like her could never be trusted." Sarah felt her chest tighten. Ethan, her Ethan, chose his mother's lies over her love. 5 years of devotion shattered in an instant. As the mansion's grand doors slammed shut behind her, Sarah walked away. carrying a secret no one knew. She was pregnant. The cold wind cut against Sarah's skin as she dragged her suitcase through the empty streets. No home, no money, no one to turn to. She checked into a cheap motel, lying on the stiff bed, staring at the cracked ceiling, wondering, how did my life come to this? The next morning, she had no choice. She found a job at a rundown diner, waiting tables from dawn till midnight. The hours were long, the pay was terrible, but she couldn't stop. Especially not when she found out she was carrying Ethan's child. Months later, Liam was born. Sarah held him close in the dim hospital room, whispering, "It's just you and me now, baby." She worked twice as hard. She memorized financial terms during her 15-minute breaks. She saved every penny, refusing to let Liam grow up in poverty. And then, fate intervened. One rainy evening, an older man at the diner watched her closely. "You have incredible determination," he said. "Have you ever thought about changing your life?" That man was Mr. Bennett, a well-known investor. Under his mentorship, Sarah entered the world of finance. She absorbed knowledge like a sponge. She took risks. She made bold moves. And in just 5 years, Sarah became the CEO of a major financial firm. Now, sitting at her grand desk, she smirked as she read the name printed on the folder before her. Margaret Dawson. Across the city, the once powerful Dawson family was in ruins. Margaret paced in their nearly empty mansion, gripping her phone. Pick up," she hissed, but no one did. Former friends? Gone. Business partners? Vanished. Everything she had built crumbled overnight. Ethan stormed in, his voice shaking. "Mom, we're bankrupt." Margaret turned pale. No, this can't be happening." But it was, and the only person who could save them was the woman they had thrown out like trash. The next morning, Margaret stepped into a towering skyscraper. The receptionist led her to an executive office. As the doors swung open, Margaret's breath caught in her throat. Sitting at a grand desk, poised and powerful, was Sarah. The girl she had humiliated, the girl she had cast aside. Now, the most powerful woman in the room. Sarah leaned back in her chair, a knowing smirk on her lips. Well, look who's here." Margaret fell to her knees. "Sarah, please." "I was wrong." Sarah raised an eyebrow. "Wrong? About what?" Margaret's voice cracked. I shouldn't have treated you that way." Ethan finally spoke. "Sarah, please. I was wrong too." Sarah turned to him, her face unreadable. "You never even asked me if it was true, Ethan." Ethan clenched his jaw, guilt flickering in his eyes. Sarah stepped closer to Margaret. "You once told me that power is everything, but the truth is, kindness and respect last longer than wealth." She turned, walking toward the door. "Some mistakes can never be undone." That evening, Sarah sat in the back of a sleek black car. Liam, now 5 years old, dozed off against her chest. His tiny fingers clutched her sleeve as he murmured in his sleep. "Mommy, are you happy?" Sarah blinked, then smiled. "Yes, baby." She looked out at the city skyline. This wasn't revenge. She had won, but not because they lost. She had won because she had risen above them. Margaret and Ethan were nothing more than ghosts of the past. She didn't need them to suffer. She didn't need their validation, because true success was knowing that she never needed them at all. Life has a strange way of balancing itself, doesn't it? Sarah was once powerless, thrown out, humiliated, and left to struggle alone. But in the end, she didn't just survive, she thrived. Her success wasn't about revenge. It wasn't about watching her enemies fall. It was about proving to herself that she could rise above everything that tried to break her. And now, the question is, what would you have done if you were in Sarah's shoes? Would you have taken revenge? Or would you have walked away like she did? Think about it for a moment. Imagine someone you loved, trusted, and built a life with turning their back on you in your worst moment. Imagine the very people who once looked down on you, who mocked you, hurt you, and abandoned you, suddenly needing your help. Would you show them mercy? Would you give them a taste of their own medicine? Or would you do what Sarah did, rise above it all, knowing that true success is never about revenge? Do you believe in karma? Some say, what goes around comes around. That one way or another, people always face the consequences of their actions. Margaret and Ethan certainly did. They built their world on arrogance, lies, and power. But in the end, it all came crashing down. Was it karma that led them to their downfall? Or was it simply their own bad choices? What would you have done? If you were Sarah, standing in that office, watching the people who once destroyed you, now begging at your feet, what would you do? Would you have forgiven them? Would you have helped them, even after everything? Or would you have walked away, knowing that some mistakes can never be undone? Share your thoughts in the comments. Stories like this aren't just entertaining. They're powerful because they make us think. They make us reflect on our own lives, our own struggles, and our own choices. So now, I want to hear from you. Drop a comment below and tell us, have you ever been betrayed like Sarah? Do you think she made the right choice by walking away? Would you have handled things differently? Let's get the discussion going. Who knows? Your comment might resonate with someone who has faced the same struggles. Like, share and subscribe. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to hit the like button to show your support. Share this video with your friends. It might inspire someone today. Subscribe to the channel so you never miss another powerful story. Because at the end of the day, the best stories aren't just told, they're felt. Do you believe that success is the best revenge? Tell us below, down.